Okay, so in the previous part for today's English learning video, we decided that this wasn't an effective way of using fronted adverbials of time in my writing because I need to make sure that I'm extending my writing, not just using a short, simple sentence to finish my writing, but also that I'm using that ambitious vocabulary to really put an image inside the reader's mind of what life in the rainforest is like for me, Fred. Okay, now, instead of saying early this morning I woke up, we want to stay on the same lines as waking up, but I want us to think, what could we wake up and see? What could we wake up and hear? What might we wake up and smell? Start to think about those senses. So pause the video and have a bit of a think. What might you, as Fred, wake up and see, hear, smell in the rainforest? Pause the video and have a think, please. Okay, so you might have said that you might be able to smell maybe the leaves on the trees, the fresh leaves. You might have been able to hear animals. Let's have a look how I've extended my writing. So I've changed it from early this morning, I woke up, to this sentence, early this morning, I was startled as I woke up. So not just I woke up naturally. How did I react when I woke up? Did something startle me, scare me? Yes, it did. I woke up to the sound of birds rustling loudly. So that word, loudly, that adverb, to modify, to change that verb of rustling, to really explain how they were rustling through the trees as they flew from tree to tree. I could feel the warm rain gently dripping on my skin. So not just the rain, the warm rain. Get that noun phrase in there, the warm rain. How does it feel like? It's gently dripping. It's not just dripping. Let's modify that with another adverb, gently dripping on my skin, which had seeped through the thick leaves in the canopy. Now, if you've been watching my geography lessons, which you all should have been, you will have learned today about the different layers in the rainforest. Bring that knowledge into your English work and I will be so impressed because the canopy is the second layer in the rainforest and we know the rain collects in the canopy. So some of it seeps through the thick leaves in the canopy. So I've brought that knowledge from my geography lesson. So please do that too if you're talking about maybe the canopy today or the understory layer or the forest floor or the emergent layer. Okay, so automatically now I've made my sentence go from really simple, really bland, really boring, not giving the reader much information about what it looks like, to then bringing my senses into it, talking about how I felt, what I could feel, what touched my skin, the warm rain, what I heard, the sound of birds rustling as they flew from tree to tree. So automatically this makes my writing look a bit better. But I can't just make my first through few sentences really strong and then continue with having these boring simple sentences. So I need to now think about how I'm going to change this sentence soon after my stomach was rumbling. Now, do I need to change my adverbial here soon after? No, I don't need to change it. I've already decided this is going to be the fronted adverbial that I am going to use. So now I'm thinking that my stomach is rumbling. What do I need? What am I going to do about it? Pause the video and have a think. What would you do if your stomach was rumbling? How would you continue this sentence on? Thinking about getting that really ambitious vocabulary in your writing. Have a think and pause the video, please. Off you go. Okay, let's see what I came up with. Soon after, it was not long before my stomach started to growl at me again. So I've got this really intense sentence here where it was not long before my stomach started to growl at me, using the words that are in the book because we know that Fred's stomach was growling at him because he was so hungry. So this is where we're telling the reader how we feel, but not actually telling them. Because if your stomach is growling, we already inferred, didn't we, that that might mean that we're hungry. Then we've got this short, really short sentence here, again. So making it Not just once, but it's happened a second time now. But I simply could not think of anything worse than consuming more grubs mixed with that awful, criminal taste of cocoa beans. So again, this is nothing new that we've learnt today. We already know that Fred in the rainforest had to mix grubs with cocoa beans. What did he make with them? Do you remember? He made chocolate pancakes. Well, chocolate pancakes, not real chocolate pancakes. But we know that they did taste awful. If something has a criminal taste, do you think that's a good taste or a bad taste? It's not a good taste. If something has a criminal taste, it's almost like it's illegal. You shouldn't be eating it, but you have to eat it because that's all that was there in the rainforest. So here now, I'm actually thinking, how can I use what I know about the story to help me today imagine that I am Fred? So I have done this for the first two adverbials, and what I would like you to do now, finish off these sentences from just then and eventually, imagining that you are Fred in the rainforest. So now it's your turn to have a go at finishing them. So can you have a go at the final two sentences, just thinking how can you make it more interesting? What might happen as you search around the den for food? Do you find food? Do you remember where you put the food? Do you make more food? Do you need a campfire for food? Have a think and how are you going to finish this sentence off, and then do the same for eventually. Eventually is like the last part in our thought process, isn't it? So eventually maybe you found food, or maybe someone else had ate the food so you got really angry. Okay, have a go at finishing the last two, please. Pause the video and work on that now, please. Off you go. 5 minutes. Okay, so let's have a look how I chose to finish my sentence, starting with the adverbial of time, just then. Now we can see here that we've remembered to use our comma. We mustn't forget that, but let's see how I chose to do it. So, just then, I remembered that we did have some of our chocolate pancakes left over. I searched tirelessly, so we've got that verb searched. But what type of verb is it? Thinking of our work from yesterday, is it a present tense verb? Well done, it's a past tense verb. It's got the suffix ed on the end of it. Tirelessly, this adverb tirelessly. I didn't just search around for it. I was tirelessly searching, which means I was searching so hard. I got really worn out and tired searching around the crowded, unlit den. That expanded noun phrase, the crowded, unlit den, both of my adjectives separated by a comma there. Unlit, why was it unlit? Because they'd made a roof over their head now, so no light could get in. So if you're searching through a really crowded, unlit den, do you think that's going to be really hard or really easy to find the food? Quite difficult. So already now I'm telling my reader, without actually telling them, that it's going to be a really hard job for me to try and find some food. But also, throughout all of this, I have remembered to use my past tense verbs. I remembered that ed suffix on the end of it, making it past tense. We did have, that verb did, showing me that it happened before. Okay, but I'm also writing in first person. I don't say Fred remembered that he had some of their chocolate pancakes. It's me, because we are Fred now, and that's what we need to remember today. The final part of today's lesson then, eventually we found food. Well, hopefully by now you will have finished that adverbial of time eventually. Shall we see what I wrote? So, I decided that I didn't want to have eventually as my adverbial of time anymore. I wanted to change it to suddenly, and that's okay. If you get to a point in time where your adverbial of time needs to change because it makes more sense the way that you want to write it, then change it, okay? As long as it all makes sense. So I've chosen to use the adverbial of time, suddenly. Now I've changed it, but I have remembered my comma. Suddenly, a light bulb moment struck. So this is saying that I remembered something. I had remembered I'd placed the leftover food underneath a pile of leaves, in the hope that neither the insects nor the people who were accompanying me would find them. So I've got this ambitious vocabulary here, accompanying. So if someone is accompanying you, it means they are with you. So who was with Fred? That's right, Con, Max, and Lila. So he wanted to hide them from those three people who were accompanying him, who were with him. Okay, so that is my example of how you are going to today use 4 adverbials of time and make sentences out of them to describe something that you have done in the rainforest. Now, your independent task today is to put yourselves in Fred's shoes, imagining you are Fred and that you are in the rainforest. Here in a box are lots of adverbials of time. Choose 4 of these adverbials of time and create sentences about life in the rainforest, exactly like we've just done. But make sure that they tie the events together. So you probably wouldn't start with the adverbial of time eventually or finally, would you? Why not? That's right, because that means that you are coming to the end of what you want to say. You might want to start with first, or at first, or yesterday, early this morning. So make sure you choose your adverbials of time well. I would choose one at a time, and the red line on each of these sections is for you to write the adverbial of time on. And don't forget to put a comma after the adverbial, okay? So you're writing about one subject. So it might be food, shelter, other species of plants or animals that you might have seen. Or you might want to be speaking about how you've made the raft or the process of making the raft, or anything else you might think of. My example is here to help you. You are more than welcome to use the same adverbials of time that I used. So early this morning, soon after, just then, suddenly. But I don't want you to copy mine. You can write about food, but I don't want you to be writing that you were startled as you woke up, okay? One more thing, I want you to all challenge yourself today. Not only are you going to be writing super sentences using an adverbial of time, but you're also going to remember your work from Monday and Tuesday, working on writing in first person and in past tense. So you are Fred now. Put yourselves in Fred's shoes. You are Fred, okay? Okay. A final plenary here then, just tying all of our learning together today. Can you make an appropriate time adverbial to make these main clauses make sense? So, A, I will try my hardest to forage for some more food. So that word meaning hunt, doesn't it? We learned that the other day. And B, I noticed that I had lost my bottle during the plane crash. Pause the video and try and think of some appropriate time adverbials to go here. Okay, off you go. Okay, so you might have said, tomorrow I will try my hardest to forage for some food. You might have said, suddenly I noticed that I had lost my bottle during the plane crash, okay? There's lots of other time adverbials that you could have used there, okay? So you have your task for today. Really looking to see the fantastic sentence that you have came up with. Remember to use ambitious vocabulary. You need to make the reader imagine that they are there with you. And the way that you do that is creating the scene with lots of adverbs, verbs, adjectives. Really create the scene that you are having to live in right now. Have a lovely rest of your day, Year 4. See you later.